All right, we are live here once again on Lunchtime Live here on LinkedIn. It's another Tuesday here in the neighborhood in the Baltimore area. I am one of your co-hosts, Jason Colenso, on behalf of Charter Senior Living, and also Paul Orlando from Right at Home. So, a very special guest today, actually, technically, well, our first group of special guests outside of Paul and myself, the incomparable and absolutely wonderful Ellen Platt from the Option Group. So, Ellen actually has been kind enough to invite some of the colleagues from the office. We're joined by Noel, Tay, and Samantha, who are over there waving at us. Hello. And so I will kind of just turn it over to the group and let them kind of give you a little background and a little introduction. So.
Well, thank you, Jason and Paul. It's really great to be here today. I appreciate you thinking of us. We've had a great collaborative relationship with you guys, and love to get out to the world what we all do as organizations to support seniors. The Option Group is a private care management company. We're starting on our 11th year, so we had our big 10-year celebration last year.
That's amazing.
And, yeah, it's awesome. And I think, Paul, you guys did too at Right at Home, had your 10-year anniversary as well.
Yes. Yeah, not too long ago. So we're in this together.
Yep. So we have a great team of nurses and social workers, rehabilitation counselors, and care managers and care management associates. And what we do is we help families solve problems and navigate longevity. Everybody has a very different situation, and that's what makes our jobs really interesting. We find ourselves in a whole myriad of circumstances, but we help families navigate. So if somebody is declining cognitively or physically just because of age, or if they've had some type of catastrophic injury or chronic health condition that precludes them from living independently, we find ways to help support them. A lot of times people want to stay at home, so we help create that care scenario at home where we may pull in caregivers, just like the caregivers you provide, Paul, or we might provide pull in Meals on Wheels. We'll do medical care coordination. We make sure that there's a system for meals and medications and ways that they can live independently, but maybe have some support so there aren't gaps in care. But if for some reason that's not sustainable or feasible, we may look at other care scenarios out in the community, and that might be tapping into a community like Charter Senior Living, where they might go for assisted living or memory care, or maybe somebody who needs a higher level of care in skilled nursing. So we really look at each person individually. We pull pieces of the puzzle together to figure out what they need. Do they have their planning documents in place? What can they do in terms of their personal care? Are they able to bathe themselves and dress themselves and prepare meals and manage their finances? Or do they need assistance with some of that? And we can create that care scenario that's going to support them with the things they can't do, but help encourage them and facilitate to do the things that they can continue to do. And so we look at kind of the immediate situation, the red flags, where are their problems, where are their safety issues. And then we start thinking about short term, what do we need to start thinking about? And long term, what do we need to plan for? Much of the time we get a call when there's a time of crisis, and we have to quickly adapt and figure out what's going to keep that person safe. But we love when we get people who are thinking ahead and proactively wanting to educate themselves on the options and figure out what it is that they need to start planning for, so that as they age or as they decline, eventually they'll have a plan in place, and maybe even a plan B.
Yes. No, that's proactive. The key word I think you said there is being proactive. If everyone's proactive with their care and their care management and getting the resources they need in time, I think that's crucial. And Ellen, I can't remember exactly how you word it, but you have a fantastic way of pretty much summarizing up your services. I think it's like the spokes on the wheel or something like that. Would you be able to share that with
Sure.
us? Because I think that's just a great way to encompass all of what you do.
Yeah, we use that analogy quite often, is that we are at the center, the hub of the wheel with the client and their families. And there's all these spokes on that wheel. And they may not need all of them, but if they do, we're able to link them really quickly. So whether it is a facility or a home care company, it could be skilled services. So we bring physical therapy in the home. It could be Meals on Wheels. So they have regular meals delivered to them. It could be a home visiting physician because they can no longer get out to see their physician. It could be an attorney to put together their legal documents. So they have their will and their advanced directives and direction on who is their power of attorney to help them make decisions financially or for healthcare if they're no longer able to. It could be any number of services that are out there to help support seniors who are declining but maybe want to still live at home. So it could be a daily money manager to help keep them fiscally organized and make sure they're not late on their bills and they're not forgetting to pay their premium for their long-term care policy that's actually paying for the care that comes into the home. We might have an organizer or a move manager. So we often see people who've been in their homes for 40, 50 years and you accumulate stuff, and sometimes they need help kind of donating and purging and getting rid of some things so that maybe eventually they will be going to a facility. They're not going to be able to take everything, but there are people that do specifically that. So we're able to link them. We don't provide all of those services, but we know people that are tried and true and we vetted them. They provide good quality care or a good service. And then we want to be able to get that to the individual or to the families so that they can navigate and just, if their wish is to stay at home, the good news is there's a whole lot of services that can provide the supports and allow somebody to stay at home much longer than they used to. But there are also many other options because everybody's in a different position and have different goals. So we're able to kind of really assess that, really hear what's important to the family and to the senior that is our client that we're providing services to. And we just help piece those puzzles together so that they can move forward in a safe manner.
All right. Yeah, the spokes on the wheel reference. I like that one as well. And
Yeah.
obviously you kind of gave a really well detailed as to what those spokes comprise of. So and obviously with this multifactorial way that we would have to go about providing care, and all of that. And it's really, and I really admire the way that everything is kind of all come together. So I guess I'll ask, how did this all come to be? Where was the option group born out of? Like, where did it start?
The origin story.
Yeah. Well, I have a master's in rehabilitation counseling, and I was doing case management in the rehab world, working with a lot of people that had catastrophic injuries, traumatic brain injuries, car accidents, injuries on the job, very significant injuries in many cases. And I realized over time that there was another subset of the population that really needed advocacy, and that was seniors. They had families that were trying to do the right thing, but just didn't have the resources or the knowledge to be able to navigate the care. So about 10 years ago, I've been doing the care management for about almost 35 years now, but about 10 years ago, I decided that there was really a need for families to navigate the care for somebody who was older. And so I kind of transitioned what I was doing and created my own practice, started the option group 11 years ago, and have just grown our team. So we're to the point where we have care managers, nurses, social workers, and each one has a specialty. So we have somebody that specializes in wound care, somebody else in mental health issues, somebody with special needs, somebody with catastrophic injury. So we have lots of great clinical experience right here under one roof, and we're great collaborators. So we have regular peer review where somebody can bring up a case and say, I'm really struggling with this one because it's a unique circumstance that I've never seen before. And inevitably there's somebody in the room that has seen something similar and has a really great resource to share. So over the last couple of years, we've also had the opportunity to acquire a couple of practices that were already established in Harrisburg, Philadelphia, and Delaware. So we are providing services throughout Maryland, throughout Delaware, and in the southeastern quadrant of Pennsylvania from Harrisburg over to Philly and down to the Maryland and Delaware lines. So we've been able to expand and grow our footprint and provide great service in all those areas.
That's
Yes,
awesome.
that is amazing to hear of the expansion, and I think it speaks volumes to the work that you've provided in Maryland, that, you know, your service is needed everywhere. And the fact that you've done so well here locally in our backyard and have done such great work for people. And going off with that, so real quick story, Ellen and the Options Group actually were a godsend for my grandfather. My mom is one of 10 children, so you can imagine having that many hands in the pot. And my grandfather, unfortunately, he was diagnosed with Lewy body's dementia, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, which is a very rapid, a very fast-paced form of dementia. And with there being one of nine, you know, my mom being one of nine that are alive right now, it was almost one of those things where we were saying, like, listen, Pop can't be, it's one of those situations where he can't be home. Like, my Mimi cannot take care of him. He's starting to wander, he's starting to do all of this. And it was one of those things where you need someone who's not family to come in and kind of help guide and direct that situation. And Ellen and team worked with my grandfather. They did a lot of tests, and they really got to the bottom of it. They helped my grandmother kind of organize the next steps. And my grandfather has been in, actually, he had to go to Arden courts. He needed a very specific skill set of memory care, and he's been doing really, really well. He, you know, he's quieter. He doesn't, you know, he's not as outgoing, but he's healthy, he's happy, he's safe. So Ellen and team, thank you so much for doing that. It speaks true volumes to your work.
Well, thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. And we do that a lot with families when, you know, everybody wants to do the right thing, but a lot of times when you have that many people, they have different ideas of what needs to happen. And so having an objective person come in who's not part of the family, who is knowledgeable of the resources in the areas, can really sometimes just bring everybody to the same level to start. And then it's a process of education and just organizing the troops and having everybody really understand why you might pick one option over another, to provide the best care for this particular person. So it really is focusing on the person that's receiving services, in that case, your grandfather, and just making sure that everybody's on the same page and understanding why certain decisions are made. Because what the last thing we want is to put off those decisions or get into some type of disagreement where decisions aren't made. And then there's a crisis. A lot of the options are then taken off the table, and people are quickly making a knee-jerk reaction to, you know, in a crisis situation, as opposed to thoughtfully thinking through the options and really planning ahead and getting those things in place before there's a crisis.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And then sometimes it's kind of like growing up, like when I was playing baseball. My dad would tell me one thing, and even though it was the right thing, I didn't want to listen because it was my dad. But when another coach comes in and tells you, hey, this is how you should be doing it, it's like, all right, I'll give it a try. And it works. And it is funny how, you know, family and that thing can sometimes blind what is the, you know, most logical, best decision for the best outcome for folks.
Yeah. Another dynamic we see sometimes is that an aging person, you know, they have kids who are taking care of them, but the relationship is in their mind, that's still my kid. I'm not going to have my kid boss me around, you know, but in reality, those roles start changing as they decline, and the child becomes the parent, so to speak, to make the decisions and make sure that they're okay. So there's sometimes that dynamic that you have to kind of finesse so that everybody can feel good with the end decision.
Yeah, definitely linking, you know, that personalities and those connections too. It seems in healthcare, I mean, working in physical therapy for about a decade, finding those, you know, that emotional connection has been huge. And I think that you all, sounds like, I mean, especially from Paul's story, have done an amazing job with that. And you've kind of hinted at people that kind of bring different backgrounds. Is there anyone in particular that you've had that has like a really like interesting background that's really brought a lot to the option group from their expertise?
Oh my goodness. We have a great team. It's hard to pick one that's, I mean, everybody kind of has their niche. So, and each of them have helped out dramatically with a case at the right time. We do have somebody with a physical therapy background. So she's able to do home safety assessments and really get a good eye on what's needed there. We have folks who are licensed clinical social workers, so they can do some of that counseling piece. With people that have done just very catastrophic, severe injuries. And, they really know those acute services. And we've got, the wound care, who's able to help the other care managers if somebody, if we need to put eyes on it and really see what it looks like and make sure that it's getting that. So, I mean, we're great collaborators here at the Option Group. It's a great team. So whenever there's a piece missing, it comes up at a meeting, and inevitably we find that piece that we need. So we've come across, I mean, I could tell lots of stories of, we got a call from an 85-year-old woman who was getting ready to have surgery on her knee, but she wasn't calling us for herself. She was calling us for her 107-year-old mother who had been living with them for the last 20 years. And she was no longer able to provide the care for her mother. So we were doing care management for both of them. We had a woman who was bedridden and living in a house with lots of animals and lots of black mold, and it was hoarded, and she couldn't get the care she needed because it was a dangerous situation for caregivers to go into. So we were able to, help her sell her house and get into a facility that really gave her the support that she needed, and remarkably cognitively cleared up after not living and breathing in the black mold. So there's, lots and lots of situations that we've, worked with. And we've worked with children who have developmental disabilities, and they needed an advocate to go to their IEP meeting at school to help them advocate for services to support them as they age in the public school system. So a lot of people think of us as geriatrics, but we do work with younger populations too, maybe have MS, ALS, something that may affect them at a younger age, but they still need that person to be an advocate for them and know the medical services and how to navigate through a variety of medical benefits or entitlements that's going to help pay for their care.
Right. No, and I think that's where your background, like you said before, the options group, working in the rehabilitation sector of it, and you were seeing all those kinds of different traumatic scenarios that really affected people of all ages. I think that's great where, a bulk of it would be seniors, but you have that history and that knowledge to help with every other kind of situation that comes into play. Now, Ellen, this is a question. So I'm assuming for your services, they have to be adults, or do you dive into the pediatric world at all?
We do. We have had clients that are younger. As I mentioned, maybe they have a developmental disability and they're going through the school system and need extra services. We've worked with people of all ages that have had medical malpractice injuries, and after this, a trial and a settlement, they still need somebody to create that care plan that's going to allow them to live as independently as possible going forward. So sometimes we will come in and help a younger person just reclaim their life after a terrible injury and get them the services that they need. And many times we get them back to work and they're able to, get themselves up and dressed, and even though they may be in a wheelchair, and which is a new normal for them, but we help them get them the training that they need through physical therapy, or if if there's a vision loss, they get training in how to navigate the world with no vision when they were sighted before that. So it just, again, it's very individualized. We look at that person as they are and figure out what we can do to make it better. And coming from a rehabilitation background, there's always a way to make it better, even if you're end of life.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. There's always, when there's a will, there's a way. There's always modifications to be done. There's always places that would accommodate. There's always, I guess, a quote, there's always an option. So there's always things that we can do to be proactive. And I certainly, more than agree on all of that. So obviously you rattled off like a litany of things that you all do and do very well. With regards to kind of, case and care management and social work and everything like that. But is there ever been a time, or maybe times, when someone that you worked with was like, I didn't know that you offered that, or that was part of this, or something like that? Is there something in particular that maybe people wouldn't maybe realize that you all do as part of the option group?
Yeah, well, sometimes people confuse us with Right at Home, like an organization like that. They think we provide the caregivers. So we don't do that, but we're able to link people to vetted services that we know are going to be able to do that. We have had to testify in court. We have at times taken on power of attorney. If somebody didn't have anybody that could do that for them, to be that person once they are no longer able to make their decisions and they need somebody to help advocate. We have had people who are the power of attorney ask us to be written into the planning documents so that we can walk alongside them and help them understand the options. Even though we are not the power of attorney, we help be that person to educate them when they're having to make those tough decisions. So we do a lot of that kind of stuff. We also do training. So we'll do care coaching of caregivers, help them, again, coach them from the sidelines when they're taking on that role of caring for a loved one. But we do virtual dementia training. We do caregiver support groups. We have a collaboration with Right at Home and the Alzheimer's Association, where we bring families and people with early stages of dementia right to the training room that you see on the screen. And we're able to provide a safe, facilitated environment with professionals who are able to help families understand what they're going through and have the opportunity to be exposed to others who are in the same journey.
Yes, and that memory cafe is amazing. And Jay, I know I spoke with you briefly, but if Charter would love to sponsor, we would love to have you. It's a really good group of folks. Ellen and team, thank you. Noel has been amazing in coordinating a lot of it. Great spot to have it. Good group of people. It's growing, which is fantastic. That's what you want to see. But yes, really proud to be part of that with the Options Group and the Alzheimer's Association. All right. So then one question. So I know, Ellen, you kind of came in from the rehabilitation world and you targeted specifically seniors. So what is it that's unique about senior care management services as opposed to other types of services for, like the traumatic accidents that may occur? What is unique about the senior community?
Well, I think a lot of times, people are on a script as they grow up. They're born, they go to school, they drive, they go to college, they get a career, they get married and have kids and have a career, and then they retire, and they sort of, like, the rest of the script often is not written. And a lot of times that's where you see that downward spiral, where they've lost their identity because they're no longer working. They have, that was also their social network. And maybe they've been so busy with their career that they've kind of deferred their personal medical maintenance. And so sometimes you see depression, you see anxiety, you see that downward spiral unless there's a purpose and there's mindful wellness. And so, I thought that was really important proactively to be able to provide that support to people. But I was also seeing people at the end of life with no advocate. I can tell you more than a handful of times, I have been one of the few people at a graveside because they had nobody to be their advocate. They did not have family, maybe whatever reason, never married, no kids. And we were the ones that were there for them. And I feel very blessed to be in that position. And I take that role very seriously. So I just saw that there were people that we call elder orphans who just did not have their person to be there for them. So, our team is that person for many people.
Mm-hmm. No, that is it's sad. It's sad to hear that, but it is the truth. And I absolutely love that answer because that's something that just related to me, and I've never even thought of. As a guy in his mid-20s, my script that I have is I'm going to work until I'm 60, 65. But then you're right, it kind of just veers off. Like, what am I going to do? What? And I think that's just something I have never thought about before. That, yeah, you kind of, by the time you're 5 or 6 years old, your script's written. You go to school, you do well, you graduate high school. There are XYZ options after that, some college, maybe the military, some a trade school, you work, and then what about after that? What happens after that? And so I think that's just an amazing answer. I absolutely love that.
And quote, if the rest of the script isn't written, if you haven't trademarked that yet, Ellen, I kind of want dibs on that. If maybe we can collaborate in design. I'm just saying, really, I agree with Paul. Love that answer. I love the rest.
I love that tagline. I had somebody not long ago tell me that I should have named my company The Good Daughter because I'm the one that's always there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. It's like that Natasha Bedingfield song, The Rest Is Still Unwritten. Have you guys heard that? Have that in the background. Oh, you can see it now.
Paul's theme song. I love it. So, that's great. So, yeah, I mean, Ellen, I just want to say, thank you for taking the time today to chat with us more about your background, the option group, and all that you do in the community that is growing rapidly, which is a testament to you all, which is great. I guess I'll just leave it with from your background and from your experience, what is something that you can give as advice for maybe a new grad social worker or someone or a caregiver or like case manager? Is there any particular piece of advice you would give to someone that's just kind of starting out right now?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many options, and especially now with COVID, you see a lot of telephonic case management options and people who are coordinating care from a distance. We have the ability to do that. We are doing things virtually, but we also have office space that allows people to separate. And Ty in the back there, wave Ty, in the back of the office, he's actually an intern with us. And so we welcome people who are looking to get into the field, to figure out what they want to do, have the ability to shadow, and assist our care managers, maybe just researching options and figuring out, getting to know the services and the resources. So just like we tell our clients, be proactive, educate yourself. Same thing with the grads coming out. Be proactive, educate yourself. Reach out to a business owner who would be willing to shadow or mentor you. That's probably the greatest way that you can get experience. And doing the work that we do is having some clinical experience and care management experience really helps you kind of pull all those pieces together, because what we do is such a wide scope of services. You really kind of need that solid clinical background to be able to jump in and make some tough decisions for people and help them make those tough decisions.
All right. Well, there you have it. I love it. I love it. So again, Ellen, thank you so much for again for your time and joining us here this afternoon. It's greatly appreciated. The rest of the script isn't written is the takeaway for today. Honestly, I love that nugget. That's one of those pass along ones, and I love hearing those. You get like a Rolodex of little quotes that people say, and I'm definitely adding that one. So thank you for that. So that's awesome.
Well, thank you, Jason, and Paul. Thank you for having us, and It's been great to see you guys because we haven't seen each other out and about as much as we usually do.
I know. We'll get something going soon. And Noel, Ty, and Samantha, I apologize. Is there anything that you want to add? Anything that you guys want to share?
We're good. It was nice seeing you all.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate you inviting Ellen and the Option Group to be able to talk about the services that we provide in the community. And we're just looking forward to working with people to help them navigate. So thanks, guys, for pulling this together.
Yeah.
No,
Absolutely.
thank you for being a part of it.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Truly, it really is. So it's always good to, and for me, it's a learning. How helps me to learn too, and it's definitely always good to continually do that. So a big thing here is just to learn more about senior care and other senior professionals and how we can really make everything better for everyone involved. So thank you again, Paul. Do you have any last things to wrap this up?
No, I really appreciate the time. I think we had some great conversation. And Ellen, I've known you for how many years now? And I'm still learning things, so it's awesome. Appreciate everything that you all do for the community and for the folks that we serve. And so I just appreciate it.
Yep. Well, thank you.
Yes. And thank you all again. And to anyone, everyone that's kind of tuned in, I kept an eye. We've had people passing throughout the episode. Thank you. And our next episode will be rolling out on March 1st. So stay tuned for that. We'll be announcing the lineup for next week. Otherwise, hope you all have a great rest of the week. Once again, thank you to the Option Group for joining us this afternoon. And we look forward to working with you all again in the, obviously in the Baltimore area here, as well as throughout the Mid-Atlantic region. So as you all are taking over. So, again, everyone have a great week and looking forward to the next episode here on March 1st.
Great.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks,
Thank
Paul.
you.
Perfect. Thanks. This is perfect timing. The pup has to go outside. So this is awesome.
All right.
Perfect. All right. You all take care.
All right,
See you guys. Thank you.
Bye.